Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have Kat in my makeup chair today, and she's getting married soon, and this is the look we created for her. So I'm just going to walk you through exactly what I'm doing. First, applying moisturizer. I really like using an illuminating moisturizer, and then setting that with Morphe setting spray. Love Morphe setting spray, it's the best. Just priming the eyes and then powdering those so the shadows go on nicely. So I'm going to start with shadows, just carving out with a neutral brown shade. I wanted to keep the eyes very neutral in color but still glam, so we're just going to carve out the crease here and then keep adding color until we like what we see. So I'm using a big fluffy brush for this part because I'm not really trying to be too precise, but here I'm going in with a small pointer brush to really take a darker brown shade to carve out that crease and define it just a little bit more, and then taking that same color underneath the eye. So we're just gonna keep adding darker shadows. Here we're adding some darkness to the outer corner as well, pulling that into the crease, and then an even darker shade just on the outer corner of the eye, just continuing to add layers upon layers to define the eye and just enhance it. Most of these shadows are from the Anastasia Soft Glam palette. I pulled a couple from the Milli Rose Neutral palette. And this shimmer shade I'm using on her lid is from the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette, so I'm kind of bouncing around between palettes. And this sparkle I'm using is from a Tom Ford palette. I love using these sparkle shadows for Bridal because it's not overpowering, but it's just enough so when the sun hits it, it's just really pretty in person and in pictures. But right here I am taking a black kohl pencil and smudging that into the lash line and buffing that out with a brush. And then I'm going to take a black shadow and place that over top the pencil, and this will work for making it long lasting. And then here just starting to create a wing and then going over that again with shadow and pulling that out with my liner brush until I like the thickness and the sharpness and the shape of it. And then starting to carve out the brows, I'm using my Anastasia brow palette. And yeah, she already has a beautiful shape to her brow, so I'm just filling in any sparse areas and adding just a little bit more of an arch. Here I'm taking a little bit of, I think it's a concealer or foundation, whatever you want, and carving out the bottom of the brow just to clean up the shape of it, and it just makes everything look just put together and flawless. And then using that same technique above the brow, and I always do this before I apply the foundation. Taking a makeup wipe and just cleaning up any fallout from the shadows. Now I'm taking the same liner and pulling that all the way underneath her eye and really blending that out, and also placing shadows on there to keep it really soft but smoky, and then connecting that bottom to the top wing. And then I'll place a Q-tip underneath that makeup wipe just so I can be more precise in cleaning up that wing and making sure it's nice and sharp. Okay, time for the face. I am using a couple different foundations that I mixed together. I'll link everything that I use below, but we're just going to go ahead and stipple that in with my foundation brush and really get a nice even layer first until I like the finish, and then we'll go over top of that with a beauty blender, add some more product where necessary, and just blend, 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 blend. I like to use a fluffy brush to really blend in areas that a bigger foundation brush or beauty blender can't really get into. And I like applying just a light layer underneath the eyes since we're going to go in with concealer. To pack in this concealer, I'm using this brush from Luxie. As you can see, it's like the perfect shape to really press up against that nose, and I don't know, I just love how it applies. But just going over that with a beauty blender and then taking a fluffy brush again and making sure that concealer blends up into the shadow underneath the eye nicely. Then over top of that, we're placing a brightening pen, and I'm just going to put this under the eyes and also everywhere on the face that we want highlighted. Here I'm starting to carve out the cheekbones. I'm using my RCMA palette. I love using this for carving out and contouring because it just is so blendable and easy. But yeah, I'm just going back and forth, placing that product on with a brush and then blending with a beauty blender. And then for the nose contour, I'm using that same cream color, and she already has a great shape. We're just gonna define it a little bit more. As you can see, I'm just putting that on the side and then the tip. I'm not really connecting that color, but making sure it's very, very blended. So my camera decided to shut off, but as you can see, I did press some translucent powder, my Laura Mercier staple product, and then while that's baking, I'm going in with my Charlotte Tilbury powder and just pressing that everywhere, just to make sure everything doesn't move throughout the day. And then taking that again and buffing away the translucent powder. I just love using this technique with the Charlotte Tilbury powder because it creates such a flawless under eye, and also it makes it very bulletproof, so it's ready for all your tears. Then just taking a bronzer and pressing that everywhere that we contoured, just warming up that face a little bit more. And then another favorite technique I like doing is taking the Laura Mercier Glow Powder and just buffing that all over the face. It just creates the perfect glow to the skin. And a blushing bride, of course, needs a good blush, but I always like taking a more glowy blush. Just a subtle glow to the cheeks I think is so gorgeous on brides, but just taking that on the apples as well as up the cheekbones. And that is the final look. We, of course, added some fluffy lashes and some neutral lips. I hope you guys enjoyed this look as much as I enjoyed creating it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.